Hey guys, I'm Cecilia Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie Brahms the Boy 2. Yes, I guess there was a Brahms the Boy 1. And, well, I'm here to review the second one. If you end up enjoying this review, consider joining my Patreon page. Any donations are desperately needed. Alrighty. So, we start with a woman and his son. The character, the son is Jude. The mom is Lisa, I believe. And it starts with her going around the house, getting fake jump scared by the son. They kill their dad, and he's a busy guy. And at night, after checking in on him, there's some dark figures in the house. So she is grabbed and attacked and hit down. So we jump cut to the son and a psychiatrist. Now, what I first assumed was that the attack killed her, that it was going to be enough trauma to the head to do that. But no, she lives. So, cut to them at home. The son has stopped talking as a part of the attack. They have found a new home to get away from the busy city life, because that's what they thought was the problem. Um, and somewhere along their path, on their little nature walk in their new location, the boy, Jude, immediately forgets that he doesn't talk and he starts talking. Uh, it happens a little bit throughout the movie. Some more, but that first one was definitely very odd. Still, he bizarrely wanders off on his own and finds a doll. So the doll came with a paper, and the mom decides to clean it up. Is moved to the bed, and then Jude starts playing the piano. So he starts writing on the pad, his little paper pad. The doll's name is Bram. Name and obvious. So they're walking through the woods, and a dog appears, and his dog is barking, and they meet their neighbor, Joseph. So as they return after their little talk with Joseph, the mom starts to think that the doll's a little bit creepy, but nothing too crazy or anything. Uh, she starts to open up about her attack, but not to the point of, I guess, rebuilding or whatever. Uh, so, uh, Jude is checked in on, and he says that he does not like their neighbor, Joseph. So the mom is walking around at night, hearing stuff, sees the doll. She's fake grabbed by a phantom or whatever, and she sees Jude and wakes up. So it was all a dream. The little night sequence there. So we see Jude has rewritten the rules of Bram, and Lisa's like tries to see if the doll's like moving at this point already. She goes into one of the to this like room that he's usually in. It's locked, um, and she's kind of been putting the blame on Jude because he was the only one that could have done it. Of course, there's the doll is possessed bit. So they call the psychiatrist to update about the doll. And we cut to a time period, maybe next day, with the son playing with the father outside, with the doll also with them outside, and the mom is doing her research. Typical cliche in a horror movie of character doing research. Nothing wrong with it, but just putting it out there. The neighbor comes by and checks in with the doll and Jude. So Lisa runs in and checks on him, and he was looking for his dog. His dog has suddenly vanished. And so she enters the room and she starts to move the doll away. So she checks this little barcode on it, and doesn't figure it out quite yet. Even though later on in the movie, just flips over the paper, so that problem could have been solved pretty easily. Like, she tried it once, one way, and then gave up. Like, that was probably one of the stupidest parts of the entire movie, let's be real. So anyways, so the son is waking up and starts talking again, as I mentioned. Random moments of that happening. So she checks the notepad when she has free time and he's not around, and sees all the murder happening. Now, you would think the moment she saw this, she would immediately just hold on to the notepad and give it to the dad. But no, she puts it away. Another dumb moment brought to you by this movie. So, Jude is just standing there menacingly. And this is the moment where I put in my notes, just talk! As in, again, as I mentioned, she had a clear opportunity to invite the husband into the happenings, and every time there happens to be a thing happening, the husband happens to be busy doing something or other. So anyways, the husband, as I mentioned, wants to now invite the uncle, and he's like, Jude's all like, nah, you can't invite anybody. So the mom's like, okay, you gotta stop doing this whole making the rules thing. And when she leaves the room, everything breaks, the entire table breaks, and it's just the doll there. So the father comes back, as I mentioned, he was in a whole nother room for whatever reason, and the father now finally checks the notepad after the fact, which is now missing pages, or the pages that would influence the decision of, like, oh, bad things are afoot. So, yeah, that was conveniently just well-timed. So Jude is sitting with Bram, the doll, and the father's starting to shift the blame on her, saying, you're thinking of your past, blah, 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 blah. And the neighbor's continuing to look for the dog, and he ends up finding the dog dead. When the doll had time to do that, I don't know. Anyways, they walk in. The window is open, and they head into the forest because their son is gone. So, bizarrely, they decide to split up, even though there really could have been one way they should have checked first, which is just so happens to be the direction Lisa ended up going to, which was the other house that they briefly went to before, where they found the doll. And she starts to head into the mansion. More fake spooks jump by, and she walks around and sees the house. She gets closed in when she finds the secret compartment. More loud noises. Finding all the rules in there, too. She finds the doll. And she moves the doll to, like, another part of the room, and finds Jude with a mask on, and he starts to talk again. So the father joins them with the neighbor in hand. And as the two of them are talking, they're talking about what happened in the house. The father's talking to some person at the wait, I don't think that happened yet. I'm a little bit... Anyway. So, yeah. Yes. The father was at the hospital because I completely forgot to mention when the neighbor, or his uncle and kids went over, One of them ended up getting injured. I forget where that happens in the movie, but it does. Um, and you see all the past kids and all the previous versions of Bram, or just the one individual version of Bram. So the psychiatrist calls about the update about the doll, and she wants them to come and visit London, of all places. So, no, this is when the family comes over. My apologies. So the three kids head out, and this older boy is like, haha, you're dumb, you like this girl, and you also like the doll, and you're talking with the doll. So the doll turns, which catches the attention of Jude, which makes the boy somehow fall backwards into a pike, or not a pike, but like a branch that has like the tip of like the sharp tip. Is the best way I can describe it. So the mom saw this. She didn't like leave as soon as the kids started obviously arguing, by the way. That would probably be the responsible time to leave and check on the kids, make sure things aren't getting out of control. Just saying. You could open up the window probably and just say, hey, what's going on out there? Shout it out. There are so many possible solutions to this problem. And yet she just stood there and waited and did nothing. So the doll is left outside, and Jude grabs her to, like, comfort her or whatever. And he mentions how the doll wants him to kill or whatever. So she calls the doctor up, and the doctor isn't responding, and the father now is at the hospital. So now she finally decides to flip over that damn paper that I mentioned earlier with the little code on it. She gets all the info she needs, while also simultaneously the father also gets the update of like what's been going on at that house by some random guy, some random happenstance storyteller guy. So those two things are running alongside each other. And so be it, the doll is no longer outside. Ooga booga booga. So, and Jude is also gone. Go figure. So, she is stopped by her neighbor Joseph. And now he has a gun trained on her. So he was the one who repaired the doll initially and then hid it. And then, so he essentially set up everything. What an asshole. So she attacks, and she gets enough time to leave and go back to the mansion with shotgun in hand. So she's hearing the voices in this rose room and sees Jude with the mask back on and the doll in hand. So she manages to grab the doll from him, place it down, and then Jude has the gun. Bum, bum, bum. But then the father knows that they're there. I guess he knew that they would be there at that time from the information, I guess. But whatever. So the father smashes the doll to pieces, and Jude drops the gun and the mask, and the doll gets up with the demon face. Ooga booga booga. So Joseph comes out and is pulled out and dusted by the fire that the demon pushes out, and everyone's pushed aside, and the son picks up the doll again, and you can see it in his eyes. Ooh, it's all already there. It's super obvious he's possessed or whatever. But he throws the doll into the fire to try and throw everyone off. Cut to some time later, whether everyone's in the house. Jude goes to sleep, and then when everyone's away, he wakes up and he puts on a new mask, and he says, oh, we're going to enjoy the new rules, Bram. And that was Brahms, The Boy 2. It has a lot of stupid moments. The mom doing a bunch of, or not doing very clear and obvious choices. The ways they decide to split up the mom from the husband does leave a lot to be desired. I thought it was pretty smooth at first. Like, okay, she's suffering from something, from the trauma event. They had that going for it, but I think there is a time and a place where that wears really thin, and that is nowhere spoken in higher volumes than in this movie. I think by the to middle of, mid closer to the end of the movie, it shouldn't have been like the father has to go to the hospital to like get info there. I think he could have picked it up a little bit in a just a better way. Um, that what's going on is going on, and you can't have a movie like this without the potential of another one, can you? Uh, so the doll in it of itself isn't necessarily anything creepy. Um, I think there are some people that are afraid of dolls genuinely, and I guess I can understand that. I don't, you know, I think uh, this is clearly no Chucky by any standards. Um, but that's a whole different thing. Chucky has a bit of that humorous side to him, a little bit of that psychotic nature to him as well. I think that really helps that character a lot. By comparison to a doll that never talks, it just looks around from time to time. You kind of have to rely on the son who has given up spoken, but again, earlier in parts of the movie, he just speaks up sometimes. Earlier parts in the movie, and it just doesn't make any sense. Um, just like how the mom makes quite a few mistakes along the way, and they don't make any sense. Just like how the father splits off from them at a unopportune moment, I should say. Um, which again, you know, mm, the whole splitting thing people up. I get why horror movies try to do it. It's just so that their people are by themselves, so that they can either get killed or be extra spooked. Because if you have somebody with you, there's a good chance that person will help you out, probably in some way or fashion. But it's really about execution in this scenario. How do you get people to split up and have it feel not only natural, but have it feel like the weight of that actually means something on top of that? Have people not make as stupid as decisions that are made to help build up that tension, and even have like later on in the movie, you have the two working together, have them struggle a bit at the near the end of the movie, so you can have that type of connection as well, to show that even partnered up, it's still not quite enough. There are so many ways to take that type of result and handle it regardless. So I'm going to give this movie a 2 out of 10. It's nothing impressive, but it is what it is. So, if you ended up enjoying this review, you can please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One watch over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are desperately needed. And until next time, everyone, bye bye!